Because we live in a world that social media has promoted the fallacy of unmerited celebrity. Everybody wants to be famous. Everybody wants likes on their Instagram post. Everybody wants followers on your Twitter account. Everybody wants to be famous. And as a result, there are young ladies out there who are seeking celebrity status with no talent. There are brothers seeking to be known and can't do nothing. And I came by Mount Vernon to Grace tonight to remind you that crowds can't confirm purpose. That crowds don't mean you are in the will of God. That followers don't mean God likes what you're doing. Likes does not mean God approves of what you just posted. That crowds cannot confirm purpose. And the closer Jesus gets to his purpose, the smaller the crowd becomes. Can I push it? And here's what I love about Jesus that's a life lesson for us. Jesus never tried to force someone into a role or relationship they weren't ordained to walk in. So Jesus doesn't try to make everyone in the crowd a disciple. And Jesus doesn't try to make every disciple part of the 12. And Jesus ain't gonna make all 12 apostles. And Jesus doesn't need all the apostles to be in the inner three. And Jesus doesn't try to make all the inner three be the beloved. Jesus never tried to make Matthew in the inner crowd. Jesus never tried to make Peter the beloved disciple. Jesus accepted that there are certain boundaries that God has put around people of how close they can get to you as you pursue God's assignment and God's purpose in your life. And the reason some of us are frustrated is because you keep trying to make folk something God never ordained for them to be in your life. You're trying to move them outside of their ordained boundary. Can I teach Bible? I'm going to do it anyway. Someone, you're not going to catch it. Ask your neighbor after church is over. Here it is. I want you to see the frustration of trying to make someone something they ain't ever going to be. In verse 1 of chapter 10, the Bible says Jesus called his disciples. In verse 2, Matthew says, here are the list of the apostles. You missed it. Told you. In verse 1, Jesus says, give me my disciples. In verse 2, Matthew says, here are the apostles. Okay, can't get no help over here. Right here. Jesus says, give me the disciples. Matthew says, here are the names of the apostles. You still ain't caught it, have you? That in one verse, Jesus said, these are disciples. In the next verse, Matthew said, here are the apostles. Now, here's the problem, saints. When Matthew names the apostles, Judas is on the list. But Judas never